Alrighty. Check 1 1 1 1. Yo, we back in the place again, and the news keeps on coming. The thoughts keep emerging. The media keeps adding on to it one step at a time. Especially Fox News. They really had their narrative out before a suspect was even caught. I mean, I think if there's anything that is the news, and let me know if you can hear me. Let me just make sure the audio is working. 2 seconds. Okay, it's good. Now, I think the real story of today, of the last 24 hours, has been very simple. That Fox News has had, and Trump, they have had their narrative before a suspect was caught. Period. I think that is really the news, and people really have to ask themselves why that is. Why did they have a narrative that was false in place already before anyone else even knew what the hell was going on? How's that possible? How is it possible? And the only way that it could be possible is if they want something like this to happen in the first place. It's just very simple. It's very simple. The fact remains that nobody else knew. No news. No, the president came out on TV and announced that it was radical left people. He came out on Fox News just out of the blue. Right after the FBI fumbled the case, arrested 2 people first, got the wrong people. Kash Patel each time said, "We got the guy, we got the guy." Then finally, when they do catch a shooter, Trump, amazingly, they drag his ass out of his bed or wherever he was in his coma, dragged him up on international news on Fox News. Well, it's not really news. Nobody takes it as news around the world. They really take it as propaganda, right? But inside of the US, they take it as news. And that's the one place Trump goes to get his story out. And his story, before anyone is captured, before any information is released to the public, not even the Utah State Police put any news out, really. They on who the person was, anything like that. They didn't even really have an idea, Kash Patel showed up, and just for a press appearance where they said nothing after waiting for like 8 hours. All of a sudden, Trump comes out and is like, "It's the radical left. It's the radical left. We've caught someone." He said it was the radical left before they even caught someone. Then he came out 8 hours later and said it was the radical left. I mean, think about this, on national news, and said it's the radical left. We caught someone. Their parents turned them in, blah, blah, blah. But he knew damn well that the person's own background and profile, he knew that it comes from a Republican, gun-toting, Christian, nationalist family from Utah. Very simple. Very simple. And it's really strange how they could have this liberal thing already in his mind, Trump. And we're going to play it back. We're going to play it back first. That's the first thing we should watch, is Trump's crazy, I guess you could call it liberal derangement syndrome, that Trump goes on, and he does it regularly. And MAGA people go on this liberal derangement syndrome so much that they know who the shooter is before anybody else knows. They announce it to the world who it is before the police even know, before the FBI even knows, before the state national police even know. The state, not national, the state Utah police even know. They're just talking about it's radical left. Now, this is before any capture.
Wonderful Americans like Charlie to Nazis and the world's worst mass murderers and criminals. This kind of rhetoric is directly responsible for the terrorism that we're seeing in our country today, and it must.
This is his statement before anyone had been captured. Not even the state police could know what Trump is claiming to know. The FBI had announced 2 other people in Utah already at this time. Trump is just going out there. They're telling you they don't know. We caught a guy. Oops, wrong guy. Trump already has a narrative. We caught a second guy. Oops, wrong guy. Trump has this narrative. This is his narrative. Catch the third time, and they don't tell you what his family background is. It's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. And we have to call it what it is. This is liberal derangement syndrome. It's liberal derangement syndrome. Let's listen to some more liberal derangement syndrome here. I mean, it is what it is.
Stop right now. My administration will find each and every one of those who contributed to this atrocity and to other political violence, including the organizations that fund it and support it, as well as those who go after our judges, law enforcement officials, and everyone else who brings order to our country. From the attack on my life in Butler, Pennsylvania last year, which killed a husband and father.
Person who was registered as a Republican attacked him. A person who had a Trump sign in their yard took a shot at Trump. And it's amazing. It's amazing. A gun holder.
To the attacks on ICE agents, to the vicious murder of a healthcare executive in the streets of New York, to the shooting of House Majority Leader Steve Scalise and 3 others. Radical left political violence has hurt too many innocent people and taken too many lives.
Now, this is the narrative before anyone was caught. This is after the shooting. This is before the first person that they captured was caught and then released. This is before the second person was captured and then was released. This was Trump's narrative, almost like he knew who it was. Almost like it. But the problem is that Trump actually didn't know who it was. He didn't know. And no one knew who it was. And the only an honest person could admit that you don't actually know who it is, that it's not possible to know. You have to let the police on the state and do the investigation. And if the FBI wants to help with an investigation, yeah, but they don't have the personnel because Kash Patel has already put the FBI in total disarray. That's what they wanted. They wanted to fire and change the FBI around. I think Kash Patel said he wanted to turn it into a museum. The whole FBI should be a museum, right? Because it's all based on a hoax. But the truth of the matter is that when they find out that it's something else, they didn't report it. It's crazy.
The Daily Beast. Here are several news reports where Tylor Robinson's family members say they are MAGA pro-Trump supporters, plus sources that likely have video material.
Wow. So this is who they captured. Wow. Is it a surprise to anyone on the left? No, because that's what's been happening. The same person that took a different person that took a shot at Trump was actually a supporter, a registered Republican, and was a Trump supporter even. They got pictures of Trump signs in his yard. So, and he was a gun enthusiast, right? That's not liberals. Usually they think of liberals as being gay, pacifist, not being strong enough, not knowing where to draw the line, not being hard enough, not being violent enough, actually. You see? Yeah, that's what they do. Wanting to share too many resources together, wanting to live in harmony, this type of thing. But it always tends, not always, but it often, according to the data, turns out to be this. Now, when you have so much liberal derangement syndrome, a guy's own grandmother could tell you he's a Trump supporter, and the person with the liberal derangement syndrome will still say, nah, I know better. I know better than his goddamn grandmother because, hey, I'm invested in this emotionally, This is crazy.
The Daily Beast. Tylor Robinson's news reports where Tylor Robinson's family members say they are MAGA pro-Trump supporters, plus sources likely have video material. What the reports say. 1. The Daily Beast. Tylor Robinson's grandmother, Debbie Robinson, claimed the entire family are longtime Trump supporters, all MAGA. and said she doesn't know a single family member who's a Democrat. The Daily Beast, too, The Atlantic, reports that Robinson was raised by parents who are registered Republicans from a deeply pro-Trump corner of Utah. The Atlantic 3, Jazeera,
From a deep Republican, Trump supporting part of Utah. That is where he's from. That's where he's from. He literally supported Trump. He was a Trump supporter. That's crazy. The issue with him was not even Trump. The issue was Charlie Kirk and how he supports Trump. The fact that he's not good enough.
notes that Robinson's family described him as having become more political in recent years, and that family and friends described him as full of hate toward Charlie Kirk at a recent gathering.
Right. He didn't have full of hate. Now listen, what does Charlie Kirk have in common with Trump? What do they have in common? So the guy didn't hate Trump. Is there anywhere in anything that they found? Because you have to know this in this highly politicized in this highly politicized liberal derangement syndrome society that we live in, right? You have to know that the FBI, since it is, appointing people that have liberal derangement syndrome, if he had one piece of evidence in his home, one piece of anti-Trump rhetoric in his home, that would be the first thing they would throw out to the media. Just like if there was anything that was, let's say here, anti or pro Trump, they would try to hide it too at the same time. They would do that, because they want to control the narrative, right? They hide certain things. They show you so they showed you that he got killed. They show you the gun. They didn't show you that his family is Trump supporters and that he was also a Trump supporter. They don't show you that. They don't show you that the grandmama is like, no, man, what are you talking about? This guy supports Trump. Everybody in our family. They don't show you that. What they tell you is that he's a liberal. The guy's not a liberal. The first thing you have to analyze is very simple. Is he a liberal or not? And what does liberal mean? What does liberal mean? Do MAGA people even know what liberal means? No, it means freedom. That's what it actually means. That's the whole point of it. Freedoms. Protect freedoms. That's the point. So is this guy a liberal? Does he come from a liberal family? Are they freedom protectors? If so, in what way? Are they are they pro homosexuality? Is he pro LGBT? The person that shot Charlie Kirk, is he pro LGBT? Is he pro universal health care? Is he pro more access to education? Is he pro reparations for African Americans? Is he pro those things that you call liberal? Is he pro those things? They have no evidence of that, but they're calling him liberal. Is he anti-abortion, or is he pro for women to have the right to choose? There's nowhere where they're into that. So calling him a liberal is simply unfounded. But what is factually founded, and which MAGA people really have a hard time with, is what his grandmama says. The person who gave birth to his daddy or the mama, one or the other, I don't know, but someone who knows him better than each one of you who are MAGA supporters in this comment, in this chat, right? Do you know the killer better than the grandmama? If you know the killer better than the grandmama, put a 1 in the chat. Let's watch. Let's see who knows the killer better than the grandma. Anybody know the killer better than the grandma? Hey, 6 cents. 6 cents. Do you know the killer better than the grandma? If you do, put a 1 in the chat. If you don't, put a 2 in the chat. I'm going to put a 2 in the chat because I do not know the killer better than his own goddamn grandmama. I just don't. I don't know the killer better than his grandmama. I mean, I just don't know. You know why I don't know? Because I live a long way from this person. I've never encountered this person in my lifetime. They grew up in a different part of the country than I grew up in. The people that grow up in that place have a completely different understanding of life than the people that grow up in my place. See, we're Democrats largely and liberals largely, and we don't have the same cultural values as people that live in Utah. Utah is a Mormon town primarily. You see, so we're very different. So I wouldn't claim to know him better than his own goddamn grandmama. But let's play. But I could see there's a lot of MAGA supporters that do. They know him better than his grandmama.
Here are several news reports where Tylor Robinson's family members say they are MAGA pro-Trump supporters, plus sources that likely have video material. What the reports say: 1. The Daily Beast. Tylor Robinson's grandmother, Debbie Robinson, claimed the entire family are longtime Trump supporters, all MAGA, and said she doesn't know a single family member who's a Democrat. The Daily Beast 2. The Atlantic reports that Robinson was raised by parents who are registered Republicans from a...
No, because look at this. People are like, it doesn't matter about his grandmama. His grandmama can make mistakes. Okay, what about his own family? You know him better than his own family? You know him better than his daddy? So if you know him better than his daddy, right? Does he support abortion for women or not? If he supported abortion for women, I don't know. I'm just asking the question. I'm being honest. I haven't even researched whether he does or not. Maybe you've done more research than me. So put your research on the line. Does he support abortion, the killer of Charlie Kirk, or did he not? If he supported abortion, put a 1 in the chat. If he didn't, put a 2 in the chat. I want to know what you know. Share with me what you know. Did he support abortion or not? If he supported abortion for women, their right to control their own body, put a 1 in the chat, MAGA lovers. If he didn't, put a 2 in the chat. Isn't that a question about conservatives and liberal? That's a question straight to it. That's straight to the point. You see, and so these MAGA people, they claim to know him better than his own family, better than the people around him, better than the townspeople that he comes from. How the hell would I even know if he support? But they don't even know, because if he was a liberal, he would obviously support abortion. That's what it has something to do with. Abortion, a woman's right to the control over her own body. Yeah, Chili's, that's on topic. That's a question to, do you know the killer or not? Because Trump came out and announced that he knew why the killing happened before there was any arrest. Trump had a narrative before anyone knew anything about who the killer was. Trump had a narrative before there was any arrest. Here is the narrative. This is just right after the killing. This is what Trump talked about. Here it is again.
Wonderful Americans like Charlie to Nazis and the world's worst mass murderers and criminals. This kind of rhetoric is directly responsible for the terrorism that we're seeing in our country today, and it must stop right now. My administration will find each and every one of those who contributed to...
This is Trump after the shooting, before anyone was arrested. This is him. This is him before anyone was arrested. He's talking about how to solve the problem of this type of killing before anyone was arrested. This is what he was saying.
This atrocity and to other political violence, including the organizations that fund it and support it, as well as those who go after our judges, law enforcement officials, and everyone else who brings order to our country. From the attack on my life in Butler, Pennsylvania last year, which killed a husband and father, to the attacks on ICE agents, to the vicious murder of a healthcare executive in the...
Was this guy against ICE? Was the killer of Charlie Kirk, Was he against ICE? MAGA lovers, if he was against ICE, put a 1 in the chat. Let me know where you get your reporting from. I would like to know. If you don't know if he was against ICE, put a 2 in the chat. The MAGA people seem to know. So MAGA folk, if you know, put a 1 in the chat if the killer was against ICE. I want to know if he's a liberal. Help me understand. Was he a liberal? Where's the liberal proof? Where's the liberal proof? Is the guy liberal? Look at this. Achilles. Who cares what he was against? The guy was. Trump cares. Stupid. You don't hear your president?
Nazis and the world's worst mass murderers and criminals. This kind of rhetoric is directly responsible for the terrorism that we're seeing in our country today.
He said this type of rhetoric is responsible. He's talking about liberal rhetoric. Achilles 13:7 AB says, who cares what he was against? He killed the guy for words. Look at that. Okay, he killed the guy for words. Oh, really? Is that it? So now it's just he killed the guy for words. So what are you talking about? A guy who kills his wife, kills her for words. What the hell? A woman who everybody kills somebody for. What the hell does that mean? He killed her for words. God damn, that's crazy. A person who steps on another person's shoe and says, hey, man, you know what I'm saying? Fuck your shoe. Doesn't he kill him for words? What the hell is going on? What are you talking about? It's not words. Trump didn't say he killed him for words. Trump said he killed him for specific types of words. See, hate speech, this is what Trump is claiming that it is, although he won't use that term. That's not just words, my friend. You know, this is Trump. So again, I just want to remind people, this was Trump's words before anyone was caught. Before anyone was caught. Not one person was caught. This was after the shooting, right? Before the first person was caught.
And it must stop right now. My administration will find each and every one of those who contributed to this atrocity and to other political violence, including the organizations that fund it and support it, as well as those who go after our judges, law enforcement officials, and everyone else who brings order to our country. Back on my life in Butler, Pennsylvania last year, which killed a husband and father, to the attacks on ICE agents, to the vicious murder of a healthcare executive in the streets of New York, to the shooting of House Majority Leader Steve Scalise and 3 others. Radical left political violence has hurt too many.
So those people, are they killing people for words? So in other words, the 2 Democrat lawmakers that were killed by Republicans, by Trump supporters, were they killed for words? I'm just curious. But it doesn't even matter, because we know they're not just killed for words. I mean, we know that for a fact. That's not just how it works. How it actually works is that it's specific types of words that people do not like, and so therefore they attack them. This is what political violence is in the first place. If you want to be honest, it's not words, it's types of words. Okay, the types of words that count. Now, let's go on here. Let's hear a little more.
The Daily Beast. Here are several news reports where Tylor Robinson's family members say they are MAGA pro-Trump supporters, plus sources that likely have video material.
So let's equate this to how a lot of right-wingers equate the LGBT community, right? A lot of times they say that it's not natural, right? LGBTQ, that it's not natural. But a lot of times you find out that heterosexual families, a man and a woman, gave birth to a LGBTQ person, right? You find that out. Now, in this case, it would be Republicans, right? Republicans, a Republican town, heavy Trump supporting town, right? With their rhetoric, right? With their ideas and their concepts, right? That produced a what? What did they produce? Heterosexual family, heavy Trump supporting family, Trump supporting town Mormon, what did they produce? Tell me. Tell me in the chat, what did they produce? That family, did they produce a liberal child, or did they produce a person who kills over political motivations? Put a 1 in the chat if they produced a liberal child. Put a 2 in the chat if they produced a person that kills for political motivations. I'm going to put a 2 in the chat. Boom. Because I believe this heterosexual family, heavily Christian, pretty conservative family, Mormon family, Trump supporting family, produced a person that kills for political motivations. Okay, but it is a trick question though, because if you choose one, right? If you choose one, if you say they produced a liberal child, then what you're saying is a conservative town, Mormon town, conservative Mormon family, heterosexual mother and father produced a liberal child. So that debunks your whole theory about LGBT. Actually. So, I mean, do you see how ridiculous this shit is? It's like, this is the conservatives' idea. You see, I mean, it's ridiculous. They say it's not natural, but two heterosexual people can produce an LGBT child. And here they're saying the same thing. Look, check this out. They're saying the opposite here. They're saying they're saying the same thing here. They're saying a Republican town, heavily Trump supporting, can produce a liberal child. You know? This is crazy. Actually, they're saying the opposite. In reality, we know two heterosexual people can produce a LGBT child, but the conservatives say, no, that's not where it comes from. It comes from some other shit. Okay. But when you ask them about politics, they flip the script and they say, no, it's possible. Republicans can produce a liberal child. Yeah. But you see how ridiculous it is? Come on, let's go.
The reports say 1. The Daily Beast. Tylor Robinson's grandmother, Debbie Robinson, claimed the entire family are longtime Trump supporters, all MAGA, and said she doesn't know a single family member who's a Democrat. The Daily Beast 2, The Atlantic, reports that Robinson...
Yeah, release the Epstein files, because that's exactly why he's talking. Thank you very much, AC. Let me put that at the top. That's exactly why they're interested in trying to stop hate speech all of a sudden. Now they want to stop hate speech. Now they want to be responsible for all the media outlets spreading hate speech. You know what I'm saying?
Robinson was raised by parents who are registered Republicans from a deeply pro-Trump corner of Utah. The Atlantic 3. Jazeera notes that Robinson's family described him as having become more political in recent years, and that family and friends described him as full of hate toward Charlie Kirk at a recent gathering. Also mentions that family members were interviewed. Al Jazeera 4 Newsweek discusses speculation around Robinson's political affiliations and references...
Yo, somebody is a poet. Look at this. I don't know what to think of this. I'm going to have to think about this comment a little more, but insightful Informer says Charlie dedicated his life to owning the libs until God said, hold my beer. You know, I mean, yo, so far I agree with that comment. So far I agree with it. I mean, it's the conservatives. You have to understand, conservatives, a heterosexual man and woman from Utah, Mormons, produced him. You know? They produced the person. And to be honest, you know, not that I believe in these kind of ideas, because I don't, you know, I don't believe that that's how things happen in you know, through that narrow lens. But I'm just illustrating a point. The reality is that, you know, yeah, they did produce him in that way, materially, philosophy wise. They reared him. They are keenly, largely responsible for his values and the idea that he can go out and kill because of what someone else just called words, right? That idea, they produced that themselves. That wasn't produced in New York City. That wasn't produced in Washington, D.C. That wasn't produced in California. That wasn't produced in any, you know, liberal town. That wasn't produced. Right here, you're dealing with a person that was produced in a conservative town, a conservative family, Mormon family, heterosexual family. And what he got out of that was, I get to kill Charlie Kirk for his words. Now, I would say the motive is still not solved. I would say the motive is still not solved. There's rumor, or there's reporting out there that's saying it possibly could be because of a MAGA split. Like Kirk split with a lot of MAGAs. A lot of MAGAs split from Kirk and split from Trump. And this is the Laura Loomer type. And Laura Loomer, 2 days before the shooting, had gone hard on Charlie Kirk, calling him basically a sellout, a traitor to Trump, a backstabber to Trump. And Laura Loomer holds a lot of popularity among MAGA people. They support her a lot. Half of them do. And so people are saying that this shooting has less to do with anything liberal and more to do with some sort of MAGA civil war, like control over what MAGA will be in the future. You know, everybody knows Trump is going down. And so people are trying to position themselves, because it's like the midterm election is like a ticking time bomb for them. It's like, seriously, but let's listen some more. Sorry for rambling. Let me just play as much as I can, because there's a lot more to play.
Family statements. Newsweek. Video or broadcast sources. Al Jazeera has a video component. Live updates, news conference coverage in their article. The Daily Beast. Here are several news reports recent gathering. Also mentions that family members were interviewed. Al Jazeera 4 Newsweek discusses speculation around Robinson's political affiliations and references the family statements. Newsweek. Video or broadcast sources. Al Jazeera has a video component. Live updates.
All right, let's go to the next one. Now here, let me make this larger. This is from the Daily Beast. I don't know how many of you read the Daily Beast. If you've been following the Epstein files, I'm assuming you have, because what's the guy's name? What is his name? Something Black? Remind me of his name. I'm sorry, y'all. Wolf. I'm sorry. Michael Wolf. He's been reporting on the Epstein files. And the reason why he's been heavily reporting on it is because he is one of the few journalists that had both been writing books for Trump and Epstein, both. So this guy is a renowned journalist, and they both trusted him to write books. So what they did was open up his life, their lives, to him. And he has hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours, endless audio tapes of Trump and Epstein in their own words, right? So if you've been following that, the most renowned journalist that has been given access to Trump and Epstein's lives, the most renowned, the one with the most access, if you've been following his journalism, you're likely to know about the Daily Beast. And this is what has been reported out of the Daily Beast. So let's check it out. Charlie Kirk's damn, what is this? Let me go back. That was fast. What does this say? Here it is. Charlie Kirk's suspected grandma says family is all MAGA. Yes, that's a headline. They interviewed her. Now here it is again. The Daily Beast, Charlie Kirk's suspected grandma says family is all MAGA. And this is written by Amber Levy, Catherine Boris. Okay, let's look into what's being said here. It says Tylor Robinson, 22, a man arrested in connection with the assassination of conservative activist Charlie Kirk, comes from a MAGA family, his grandmother has revealed. So here it's called not suspected, it's called grandmother. Although MAGA figureheads have been quick to point fingers at the left for Kirk's death, we could all admit that they have. That's pretty true, right? Even a MAGA supporter could say, yeah, we were quick to blame the left, right? Yeah, they were. And I'm not a MAGA person, but I could see that. I try to be a little unbiased. Although MAGA figures have been quick to point the fingers at the left, Trump pointed fingers at the left before they even caught one person. before they even caught two people on national TV. Even the third one, he just kept homing down on the same message: leftist, leftist, leftist. Tyler's grandmother, Debbie Robinson, for those of you who want to know who the grandma is, who said this, who likely knows the killer better than you ever would in your life, right? Unless you're delusional. Debbie Robinson, 69 years old, an elder in the MAGA community, an elder in the Mormon community, an elder in the Christian conservative community, an elder in Utah, insists that they come from a family of Trump supporters. This is what she's insisting, although you're probably calling her a liar if you're one of these delusional MAGA people. If you're a reasonable MAGA person, you're probably saying, oh, damn, really? What the hell? Shit, how come they didn't report that on Fox News? Yeah, I would be saying that too. Why the fuck don't they report that shit on Fox News? That's the MAGA channel. But apparently Fox News didn't find it worthwhile to report. The 69-year-old grandmama. Okay. Conservative Christian grandmama doesn't get airtime on Fox News, right? Now, she spoke. Hold on. What? Damn, it went fast. Okay, she spoke with the Daily Mail on Friday after news of Robinson's arrest broke. My son, his dad is a Republican for Trump, Debbie told the outlets. Most of my family members are Republican. I don't know any single one who is Democrat. But the MAGA folks that have what I call liberal derangement syndrome, they will refute the grandmother to their death. Yes, they will. Yes, they will. Can I get an amen? Amen. They will. You have heard the word. Now, according to the outlet, Robinson's mother, Matt, 48, was the one who turned Tylor into the authorities after she confessed to the grisly crime. Debbie has not been able to get in touch with her son since news of her grandson's arrest went public. Yeah, I can imagine, man. They've been busy. That's so terrible. That's so terrible. To raise a kid, to teach him to use guns, to put the gun in his hand. I got to tell you, because I'm a father, so I know a little bit about raising kids. To put a gun in your child's hand, to teach him to use the gun, to celebrate him using the gun, only to find out that he assassinated someone because he didn't agree with their views, right? And we still don't know which of views they were of Charlie Kirk's. We still don't know because they're saying this guy's a Trump supporter, right? This guy, that no one has evidence that he is a liberal. No one has evidence that he's pro-LGBTQ. No one has evidence that he's what do you call it? Pro-abortion for women. No one has evidence of that, right? That would be evidence that he's a liberal, what people call liberal. No one has evidence that he is for fair housing, equal access to education, reparations, things like that for different groups who have been marginalized in society. There's no evidence of those things. There's no evidence of that. No, the only evidence that you have is that he said plenty of times he don't like Charlie Kirk. For what reason? We don't know yet. But she goes on to say that she's so confused. Debbie said of her grandson's arrest, Tylor is the shyest person and said he's never ever spoke political to me at all. She insists that Robinson has never ever gotten in trouble in his life. On Friday morning, President Donald Trump announced that the suspect had been taken into custody after Kirk 31 was shot dead during a speaking event at the Utah Valley University on Wednesday. Kirk's death is assumed to have been a political assassination, and he was a prominent MAGA activist. Okay, so here's a question that I have. Do all MAGA people agree with Trump handling of the Epstein files? Do all MAGA people agree with Trump's handling of Iran? Like, the idea that he said, hey, we're going to stay out of foreign wars, and then he went out and bombed Iran. The idea that he said that, we're going to release the Epstein files on day one and then backtrack and totally reverse his opinion of that. Are all MAGA people in agreement about Trump? Is MAGA only about Trump? From what I've been reading, no. It's like a lot of them are split on the topic. A lot of them are like, wait a second, we're pissed off at Charlie because Charlie flip-flopped on Trump. You see? And he actually came out publicly and spoke about it, Charlie Kirk. He actually said this Epstein shit is that Trump is doing is some bullshit. And Trump admonished him publicly and asked him to step down, to be quiet, and he kindly said, okay, I will do that, Mr. Trump. And apparently there is a MAGA split about this. Now, I don't know how many MAGAs are pissed off about that. Who knows? I'm not a MAGA person, so but this is what people have said. Now, according to the public records, Robinson's parents, are both registered Republicans. Is that fact or is that fiction? If that is fact, put a 1 in the chat. If it is fiction, put a 2 in the chat, regardless of your political affiliation. If it is fact that both of his parents are registered Republicans, put a 1 in the chat. If it's not a fact, put a 2 in the chat. Okay. His mother, Amber Robinson, 44, is a licensed social worker. His father, damn, that's interesting. She's a social worker? Sounds pretty reasonable. Sounds like a person that would, His father, Matt, runs a business installing kitchen countertops, cabinets, and stone surfaces in their home city of Washington, Utah. Sounds like a pretty okay family outside of the gun shit. Like, goddamn, like, yo, man, like, be careful who you put a gun in the hands of. Like, straight up, just be careful. That's got to hurt his parents, though. I know I empathize with them as parents, regardless of their political belief, because I know I'm a parent myself. Like, the last thing you want is for something that you gave your child to end up being their demise. And putting a gun in a child's hand, empowering them to learn how to shoot. And a child and a person does have a brain, and their brain will tell them when to shoot. As a parent, I know you gotta probably be like, damn, man, like maybe I shouldn't have done that. As a parent, you think that way. If you're a responsible parent, you're going to question even yourself at times. Otherwise, you're just going to be a tyrant as a parent if you never question yourself. All kids are not the same just because they come out of a womb. You have to be individualistic about it if you want them to get the sense that you care about their feelings. His father, Matt. Okay, so it goes on to say both of them have held hunting licenses. But damn, the guns they had nothing to do with hunting, straight up. The Facebook post made by Amber Robinson described one of Tylor's brothers as a gun-toting, cowboy-loving, brilliant kid. Okay, so this is from Amber Robinson's Facebook account, these pictures. And but it's good that people are putting out the information so the public knows more because, again, I've been saying this for a minute. A lot of the things that Trump does are things Putin would agree with. And my intention is that Putin and Xi have been moving consciously and deliberately towards trying to create a civil war in the United States of America. I've been saying this for over a year. It's been reported by different security agencies around the globe in the Western world, in the U.S. media. So I would urge people to think about that, right, when they vote. You see, think about that when you vote. Do you want a president that takes actions that could incite violence? Do you want that? Do you want a president that could encourage mistrust and distrust and division? Is that the type of president you want? Is that the type of congressional member you want? Is that the type of senator you want? Is that the type of America you want? You get the right to choose because you do still have a vote. Hope you use it wisely. Tylor is registered as hold on, they go further. Okay, here it is. Tylor is registered as an unaffiliated voter, but has not voted in the past 2 general elections. Okay, what does that tell you? Does that mean he's a liberal? So he didn't vote for Kamala Harris. He didn't vote for Joe Biden. He's not a Democrat. Do you think the news reporting that went out and Trump by Fox, and do you think the Trump statement reflects this fact or these facts? Or do you think that Trump's statement and Fox News represents dishonesty, disingenuous statements that fuel division in the United States of America? I'm curious what you think. Tylor is registered as an unaffiliated voter, but has not voted in the past 2 general elections. So that means if you supported Kamala Harris, you voted. If you supported Joe Biden, you voted. He didn't vote for Joe Biden, and he didn't vote for Kamala Harris. So what does that tell you? He didn't vote for Trump. Apparently, what does that tell you? How could him not voting for Trump or Biden or Kamala Harris be viewed by you as different? Explain that to me. I mean, I really think that President Trump was dishonest, and quite manipulative and quite divisive with his statement that he made before anyone had been captured and before they knew anything about who had done it. I really think Fox News also has done the United States some harm in their reporting because they forgot to tell their followers, their viewers, this information so that they could make up their own minds. The family member referenced a recent incident in which Robinson came to dinner prior to the September 10th, and in a conversation with another family member, Robinson mentioned Charlie Kirk was coming to UVU. They talked, that's the University of Utah. They talked about why they didn't like him and the viewpoints that he had, Cox said. Okay, let's listen. Let's see what else they got. Cox did not provide further details on how exactly Robinson had become more. See, and here's the thing. So, if he didn't provide more information, why do you think the police have not found that out yet? Why do you think the FBI has not found that out yet? Why do you think this Republican Trump supporting family has not revealed anything else about that conversation? Why? This is Yahoo News, by the way. Why do you think that? Why do you think? If they're Republicans and if they're Trump supporters, and there was anything in that conversation that led them to believe he was a supporter of Kamala Harris, he was a supporter of Biden, that he was a liberal, and that's why he hated Charlie Kirk, don't you think the Republican Trump supporting family would reveal that information? If you think they had information on him being a liberal and his motive being left leaning and liberal leaning, don't you think that his own family would have revealed it to news outlets or the police or the FBI? If you think that they would, if they had it, put a 1 in the chat. If you think that they don't have that, therefore they didn't mention it, put a 2 in the chat. I'm going to put a 2 in the chat because I don't think they had any information that connects him to liberals, and therefore they didn't say what it was. That's what I think it is, unless you're trying to say they're obstructing justice. I don't know. Somebody's obstructing justice. Is it the media obstructing justice? Is it the police obstructing justice? Because a motive is definitely part of a criminal prosecution. So the motive is important to know. And if anyone knows his motive and purposely withheld the motive, they are part of what is called obstruction of justice. That's a crime. Cox did not provide further details on how exactly Robinson had become more political in recent years. Photos found on Facebook show that Robinson dressed up as President Donald Trump for Halloween in 2017. Okay, that's in photos with the president's face painted green. But internet experts who have sought to contextualize Robinson's radicalization within online culture have suggested this could have been a meme, much like the symbols and phrases found scratched into Robinson's bullet casings were. Okay, let's go on. Cox shared that Robinson's roommate had handed an incriminating Discord message, which Tylor states specifics about bullets, engravings, and details about the rifle in a hidden location. Discord, however, released a statement saying Robinson did not plan the attack on their platform. Okay, that's obviously their defense, which I'm not saying he did or anything like that, but that's a corporation who's got to protect their money. So they got to release that, that automatic statement to the public. These communications were between the suspect's roommate and friend after a shooting, where the roommate was recounting the contents of a note the suspect had left elsewhere. Again, if you withhold evidence, that's obstruction of justice. It doesn't matter who it is. It doesn't matter if it's a journalist. It doesn't matter if it's the family members. It doesn't matter if it's a friend. Period. It doesn't matter if it's a MAGA supporter online. If you know something that could lead to the motive that's factual and you withhold it, it's obstruction of justice. So, Vice President, Judd Hoffman, Vice President of Trust and Safety at Discord. Okay, let's go on because that's some corporate shit right there. We don't need to know more about that. Okay, so let's go to the next one. Let's see here. There's another article. Okay, here we go.
Press sources.
Now, this is the general search because there's more sources where they're talking about this, but just for reference here.
I found no credible report where Tylor Robinson's grandmother explicitly says that he didn't do it, i.e. denies his guilt.
Yeah, okay. I was asking about this because there is one report online from, I'm not sure, but it's not a major news agency where they actually are claiming that the grandmother said she expressed doubt that he did it. So this is why I did that key search. But there's some interesting facts that come up. And as you can see here, all the references are there to the media outlets when they're quoting things. So you're welcome to review that information if you choose.
Outright. Here's what I found instead and what is not found. What I did find: 1. Family expressing confusion, disbelief. The grandmother said she's so confused. Hindustan Times. She described Tylor as the shyest person who has never ever spoke politics to me at all. Hindustan Times. She also said he had never ever gotten in trouble in his life. Hindustan Times 2. Reported confession implication by family member. Utah Governor Spencer Cox said that Tylor Robinson allegedly confessed or implied his involvement to a family member, which led to a tip that resulted in his arrest. People.com. The family also said he had recently become more political, and at a dinner table they discussed Kirk's upcoming appearance and his views. ABC News. What I did not find. There is no reliable source quoting the grandmother or other family member saying he did not do it, he's innocent, or a blanket denial of the charges with that wording. No local interview, press conference, or family statement documented in the major reports I checked where the grandmother explicitly asserts.
Okay.
They realized they lost.
So here is, there's no reporting saying that he didn't do it. So, it appears that he did, and it does. I mean, to me, it looks like after the third time they got their man, right? And that's good. Within 24 hours, that's great, especially the fact that he's inside of Utah. I mean, come on. The guy is a born and raised resident of Utah and citizen, so he's probably, I don't know if he's born there, but he's raised there. Now, and he's raised a Mormon, likely born there, raised to a Christian conservative family, and they supported Trump. They're Republicans, the family. He was a Republican, but in the last two elections, he did not vote because he also changed his political affiliation to, what do they call it? Nonpartisan. So he's not a Republican. He's not a Democrat. Those are the facts. Regardless if you're a liberal, no matter if you're a MAGA, regardless of who you are, even if you're his own grandmother, it doesn't matter what you think. The facts say that he's registered as a nonpartisan. He did not vote in the last two elections. That's what the facts say. So he did not vote for Trump. He did not vote for Biden. He did not vote for Trump. He did not vote for Kamala Harris. Those are the facts, regardless of what you think, even if you're his grandmama. Those are the facts. You just have to deal with the facts and get the liberal derangement syndrome out of your brain. But here is what Trump's look at his nose. I got to say this, y'all. Look very closely at this guy. I mean, does he not look like he's a junkie? I mean, straight up. I'm just saying that. You know what I mean? In my mind, this dude looks like he snorts drugs, like straight up. Like, I'm just saying that. But let's listen to his words. Like, his words matter. But he's going to come out and defend his daddy anyway. His daddy can't do any wrongdoing. His daddy is Jesus, you know, to the MAGA people. And, but this dude, just tell me, what does he look like? I mean, he looks
the
weird,
debate
man.
entirely, so they have to resort to violence. And contrary to what we're seeing elsewhere and online, it is not going both ways. It is going one way. It's coming from those aligned with the Democrat Party. The hate has been fomented by those in the Democrat Party, and you can probably play hundreds of hours of those clips. It's coming from the media. Some of them are doing a quick course correction and probably scrub their social media feeds for all the things they've said about Charlie, myself, my father over the last few years. But you can't call someone who you disagree with or simply can't win an argument with a Nazi, a fascist, a dictator, a greatest threat to democracy in the history of civilization, and then pretend.
So they're claiming that the reason why, even though he's born and raised to a liberal, to a conservative, Mormon, Trump supporting Republicans, right, gun toting, gun believing, and we're talking about assault weapons now. Even though he's born to that family in a Trump supporting town, in a Republican supporting town, that a liberal somewhere calling Trump a fascist could brainwash him into doing this. It could trigger him like the Manchurian Candidate or something. Like, this is what Trump's son, obviously, would you trust somebody's son and what they tell you about their father? I mean, come on national TV, when billions of dollars is at stake, when the dude's life is at stake, when this dude is probably foosking and, scamming off of the people himself, would you trust it? But it's worth hearing because this is the theory that he bothered to come out on TV and state, but here, let's listen, watch.
Pretend you had nothing to do with it when the more radical wing, and there does not seem to be all that
Look,
to me
he
these
said
days.
to pretend. He said liberals are to two gun-believing Republicans in a Trump-supporting town. The man, there's no evidence that he supported any liberal ideology. There's no evidence that he supported abortion for women, abortion rights. There's no evidence that he supported the LGBT community and people just leaving them the fuck alone and stop badgering them, stop talking about sex. When everybody needs a home, a decent job, health care, access to education. I mean, come on, you know what I'm saying? There's no evidence he believed everybody has a right to a fair wage, that he supports unions. There's no evidence that he believes, everybody should have access to health care. There's nothing liberal about him. There's no evidence. But this guy, him and his liberal derangement syndrome, he actually believes the liberals are behind it. Okay, buddy. Okay. Let's see here. Let's see if that's true. So he's saying the talk. He says the talk is all bad. They shouldn't be talking. Let's go on. Let's see here. Are we freezing up or what? Hold on. I'm freezing up, y'all. Sorry about that. Hold on. Let's get this out on with it. Back in. I'm back in. I got thrown out. Now check this out. Here are Fox comments. This is debate that's being made on Fox News. Now, you notice what Trump is arguing, and let me know if you can hear me if the audio is back on now. 2 seconds. Let me just check that. Okay. Now, Trump has been arguing from the beginning that it's the language from the liberals that did this, the la from the language, and all the outlets he's going to go after. He's going to hunt them down. He's going to, stop media outlets that say these things, anybody associated with it that says these things. That's Trump's thing, right? And his son also agrees, Now, but this is what's on Fox News.
They're using this because they're not getting it from a direct source that worked with him. So they're
Oh, and by the way, click the like button, click subscribe if you've never been to my page before. I'm doing this like every day. So, and I will continue to, but, and we just go over politics here, but subscribe and click the like button. If you agree, click the like button. If you're a hater, if you like to debate, also hit the like button, because then you get to come in and say your piece. You get to know when I'm online or not. But this is what's being said on Fox News. So are you going to cut Fox News out while you're claiming that it's the liberals that don't want to hear both sides of the debate? You tell me. This is Fox News.
From Mark Milley and from John Kelly, who gave on-the-record interviews. You can hear it in John Kelly's own voice talking about it. And the central premise of this and of so many things when it comes to Donald Trump is that we should just not take his words seriously. That Kamala's words matter and what Donald Trump says doesn't. Because guess what? Donald Trump calls Kamala a fascist quite regularly. He did it last month a couple times. He did it in August.
Did Donald Trump call Kamala Harris? Let's hear that again. Is this fact? Because this is being reported on Fox News. Now, and should we shut down disinformation sites that consistently put out lies to the public that cause harm? Because listen to what she just said.
Last month a couple times. He did it in August regularly. Guess what? Donald Trump calls Kamala a fascist quite regularly. He did it last month a couple times. He did it in August. Jake Tapper just in the last hour.
Okay, is she spreading disinformation or is she spreading facts through Fox News? Is that wrong? Did Donald Trump call Kamala Harris this regularly throughout the election cycle? Or is it false what she's saying? If it's true what she's saying, put a 1 in the chat. If it's false what she's saying, put a 2 in the chat. This is being reported on Fox News. Okay, put yes, or say yes or no. Is this factual what she's saying? Did Donald Trump during the election cycle consistently call Kamala Harris these kind of terms? Or not? The terms that he's claiming he doesn't like. He called her a communist. He called her what else? A socialist, right? This is on Fox News. And should Fox News be shut down for promoting this information? Or are they just promoting both sides? And so it's fair if it's said on Fox News. Let's hear.
Playing audio of it. And so not only does he call her a fascist, he also calls her a communist. And last time I checked, communists were pretty bad. Mao, Stalin, they're responsible for over 100 million people's deaths. George Bush commemorated the lives lost to communism in 2007, I believe that it was.
This woman is a regular on Fox News. You must not watch. Yo, Achilles, you don't watch Fox News, apparently, my friend. And I don't either. But I do follow the news cycle enough in general to see that this woman has been around on Fox News daily for months and months now. This is not just one guest, I mean, they have plenty of guests that have been on there for a year, over a year. What do you mean when you say guest? It doesn't matter. It's being reported on their network. She's being paid by Fox News to do this reporting specifically. Do you agree with her reporting? Is it facts, Achilles, or is it not true? That's what I'm looking for. Save the rhetoric for somebody else.
So spare me.
Okay. So is it true that Donald Trump has made these comments that he's now claiming are behind the murder, behind the killing, right? The harsh language, Is it true that Donald Trump used this same language, incendiary comments about Kamala Harris and other political opponents regularly? Is it true? Let's find out.
I couldn't find a reliable, comprehensive count of how many times Donald Trump has used words like communist, Marxist, socialist, etc. to describe Kamala Harris or the left over the past decade. There are a number of documented examples, but no source seems to have compiled them into a definitive tally. What I did find.
Yeah, because it's probably in the thousands, you know what I mean? Like, but I would really like a major news outlet, even Fox, if they want to just compile the information and give people the facts.
Did find are several instances and patterns, along with commentary from fact checkers. Here's a summary of what the evidence shows and what we don't know, what is documented. Here are some of the documented times in recent years that Trump has used those kinds of terms. Instance. What was said, context. In August 2024, during a podcast interview and at rallies, he called Kamala Harris a communist, really a Marxist. PolitiFact, also in 2024 at a rally, he said Harris went full communist in criticizing her proposal for price controls. New York Post. In a 2020 debate and its aftermath, Trump called Harris a communist, saying she was beyond socialist. Newsweek. In 2023, Trump used Marxists and communism to describe political opposition and radical left ideologies. Politico. As recently as 2025, he used communist radical left judges in a speech in Michigan. The Washington Post. What we don't have. What is difficult? There's no public database or analysis that seems to have counted every instance over the past decade. It's hard to know what counts as a distinct instance. Speech, rally, interview, tweet, especially when the same event might be transcribed in multiple sources. Some uses might be mild or implied. You're acting like a communist rather than explicit, making counting ambiguous. Estimate, reasonable guess. Given the documented ones, plus the general pattern of rhetoric, calling Democrats or the left socialists, Marxists, communists, that appears frequently in Trump's speeches and advertisements, a rough conservative estimate might put the number of explicit uses at dozens over the last few years, especially from 2020 to 2024.
Okay, so that's dozens, and that's more than one dozen. A dozen is 12, and that's just from 2024. So that's just a 4-year span. But everyone who really cares to know Trump knows that this is what he does. He's been doing this the entire time. Them trying to claim that Democrats use incendiary evidence when calling him a fascist to describe him as a fascist, when they really believe he is a fascist, by the way, just like they believe he really is an elitist. You want to stop me from calling Trump an elitist? I told MAGA supporters plenty of times, he doesn't care about your broke ass. He's just using you, throwing out racial tropes to use you because you're too fucking ignorant to understand he is an elitist. He does not care about white poor people. He is pro poor white genocide. In all ways, if you ask me, that's my opinion. I tried to tell you, but you don't believe it. And this is an example. How he's going to handle this murder. It's going to be the same thing. He's going to throw people under the rug that supported him, right? And he's going to essentially do what he's doing now. He's calling for the death penalty of this young man, Tylor Robinson. He is the scapegoat for Trump. He is. He's going to be the scapegoat, and he's calling for the death penalty of a person who's not even a liberal, who has not expressed one pro-liberal view. And he's doing it because he needs an escape route. He needs a political answer. He doesn't care about your families. He doesn't care about what you've gone through. He just doesn't care. He's an elitist. He cares about him getting that billions of dollars and escaping. His family getting the billions of dollars of your tax money and escaping. He doesn't care about American citizens. He just does not. He doesn't care about you MAGA American citizens. He doesn't care about you liberal American citizens. He doesn't care about you centrist American citizens. The man is a crook. You just have to get it through your head. Now, let me ask you a question. I'm going to be back later on today. Those of you that have not subscribed to my channel, subscribe and like the video. I don't say that enough often, but subscribe and like the video. I'm actually born and raised in Washington, D.C. My family on both sides go back to before the colonial period in the Americas, right? The colonial period and just the beginning of the country, right? Now, so I'm proud to be an American, but I live outside of the U.S. I live in Denmark, and I'm proud to live in Denmark. And Denmark is a safe country with progressive values, progressive workers' rights, progressive rights on education, right? And progressive rights for women. So as an American, I've had to adjust some of my thinking based on my knowledge, based on what I've learned, not just what I read, but what I see practically on the ground. And Denmark's been an ally of the United States, a staunch ally of the United States for a long, long time. Now, so if you want more access to individuals like myself and our commentary, Americans that live outside of the U.S. that can kind of bridge the gap of information, do so. I'm born in the 70s, so I'm in my 50s now. I have children and I love my country, but I don't like seeing fake patriots claim to be American when they're not. Cash Patel is a goddamn sellout. He's not. I don't see him as American. I see him as just a petty opportunist. Elon Musk, I see him as an opportunist. He cares nothing. He's a naturalized American. Why would you let the richest man on earth just get a passport and go into all your private data? Why would any proud American want that? That makes zero sense. That makes zero sense at all. Why would you want people on TV like Stephen Miller, right? Why would you want a person who's a second generation American whose family came to the United States, flee taxpayer dollars from my family? That's taxpayer dollars from your family. If your family was in the United States back then working, hypocrisies, subscribe to my channel. Now, this is my last question, and I'll be back later on today. It's a very simple question because I got more information, but I only got so much time in these little bits. Do you believe Tylor Robinson should get the death penalty? If you agree that he should get the death penalty, put a 1 in the chat. If you think the death penalty is too harsh and some credence should be given to him because of whatever reason, maybe he's confused, maybe he has liberal derangement syndrome, or maybe he has Trump derangement syndrome. For any type of confusion, do you think he should be spared and just given life in prison? Put a 2 in the chat. If you think he should get 1, put a 1 in it. And see, I'm doing anthropology here. So I'm asking what you think, so I hope you really are stating what you believe, because me as a liberal, him being 22 years old, I don't think he should get the death penalty. I think he's definitely confused by something. What it is, I don't know, but I know he's very young, and I know young people are very impressionable. However, life in prison is not a cakewalk. Life in prison is a terrible punishment. It's a terrible punishment. You see, now, but I'm a liberal. You see, I'm a proud liberal, and even though Charlie Kirk was assassinated, I don't agree with that. And I'm telling young people, look, you don't have to waste your life on a piece of shit like Charlie Kirk. You don't have to. As long as he doesn't come to your town with a gun trying to kill you and your family members, or trying to attack or make your communities fearful, just let the man speak his stupid shit. Only use weapons and force when you are under physical attack, your communities. And I believe in self-defense. So that's what I advocate. I advocate that liberals get gun license, that liberals consider having guns in their home to defend themselves against deranged lunatics like MAGA people, like Trump, that really do want to hurt us in real life and have expressed these ideas consistently in media and done it in action. But responsible gun ownership is different from putting guns in people's hands like this young man. I don't think that's responsible. I think it's unrealistic to think that young people won't have growing pains. That's just stupid. That's just stupid. All young people have growing pains and change their minds about a lot of things. You crazy for putting guns in their hands in an irresponsible way. That's just, they trained a person to basically become a young person that's going to have growing pains. And what do you think? But in any case, that's my opinion. Thanks, everybody. I'll be back. If you notice, I haven't blocked any MAGA folk for their opinion here. I often speak to them directly and provide information and facts and sources. And I don't really care about how stupid they are, because they got something to learn, and they going to learn something here for show. You see what I mean? Now, if you're a liberal, you can support my page by becoming a member. You can, you're supporting by listening anyway. And but you could become a member too. And then so you'll be able to get into some of the private streams that I don't do for the public. But I appreciate you too. And I appreciate all the support. On that note, I'm going to catch up with y'all in a few hours. I will be back. Everybody stay blessed, stay alive, and maintain your critical thinking skills. I appreciate y'all. One.